In an earlier video, in our 9mm versus 45 ACP, we shot a couple different rounds into some ballistic gelatin, did some tests with that. I also on that day shot Hornady Critical Duty 45 ammo, and I was very surprised that this stuff fragmented in that ballistic gelatin as it went through the drywall, went through the denim, and then into that ballistic gelatin. It fragmented, and that got me thinking about some of this new defensive ammo that we're seeing out there to see how good it is and if it's going to fragment or not. And we're going to be shooting the Barnes XPD 185 grain. We're going to shoot the Remington Golden Sabers 230 grain, and we're going to shoot the Sig Sauer Elite V-Crown bullets. So let's get started. Alright, that shot went well. Now what we're going to do is use a second bucket, filter or screen, and we're going to dump the first bucket into here until we find that bullet. This cap is on here nice and tight. Hold on, I think I found it already. Sure enough, there it is. Got it, don't even need to pour it out. Penetrated just a couple inches. Got some cleaning up to do. But that is the Hornady HAP, just your basic target bullet. I love these things. These things are accurate, inexpensive, flawless functioning in my guns. We're going to weigh this thing. This started off at 230 grains. We repeated this 3 more times. Now the Hornady HAP started off, as I said, at 230 grains. It retained 100% of that weight. It ended up being 230 grains. The expanded size measured across the widest part of all these bullets was 0.590, or in other words 131% total expanded size relative to the size that the bullet started at, 45 caliber, or rather 0.451. Second, we fired the Remington Golden Saber. That again retained 100% of its weight. Started off 230 grains, ended up 230 grains. Its expanded size was 165% of its original size. The Sig Sauer V-Crown, very new defensive style bullet, started off 200 grains. It retained all of that weight, and it had an expanded size of 169%. Just a little bit more than what we saw with the Golden Saber. Lastly, and this was a big surprise to me, the Barnes XPD. 185 grains was its initial weight. It retained all of that. That was great. It started off at 0.451 and it ended up 0.451. Absolutely no expansion. Now on a bullet that you want to use for defensive purposes, that is bad news. Now that bullet struck fairly stout plastic cap, went into pretty heavy medium, that's very, very gritty or abrasive sand, very dense, and it didn't expand at all. In fact, I probably could take this bullet and reload it if I really wanted to. So at this point, I'm no longer interested in the Barnes XPD. All the other 3 are still contenders. I'm actually very impressed with the Golden Saber at this point. We're going to do some more testing upcoming. I'm going to grab a couple more bullets, probably run some tests on those, but we're certainly going to do an accuracy test between the Golden Saber, Hornady HAP, and Sig Sauer. See which one gives us the smallest group out of this same gun. Springfield Armory 1911 loaded model. In the July issue of Shooting Illustrated, we see kind of a similar test. In fact, they tested everything from the 38 Special, 9mm, to the 45. Now, throughout all these tests, there's a couple of brands of ammo that kind of floated to the top. Federal did really well, Remington Golden Sabers, and the V-Crown did really well as well. Studying the results of the 45 only, we see very little difference between the Golden Saber and the Federal ammo. In fact, if we really study this, the difference is in muzzle energy. And I'll attribute that to the fact that the Golden Saber bullet that they tested was a 185 grain bullet, whereas the Federals were 230 grains. I think 230 grain Golden Saber like we used here would give the Golden Saber the exact same score, 5 points in this case, for the muzzle energy category. Penetration, it looks like this bullet may have over-penetrated just a little bit, so they lost some points, 2 points right there. The expanded size of the bullets, they have 7 points compared to 9 points. It just didn't expand quite as much as the Federal. Well, there you have it. Handgun Bullet Torture Test Part 1. Watch for Part 2 coming soon. Okay, so let's say you want to do this yourself. Very, very simple to do. All you need is a 5-gallon bucket, a lid, and a 60-pound bag of sand. I got all these supplies at Home Depot for less than $10. Just dump the sand into the 5-gallon bucket, seal it up, put a target on the lid, and head out to the range. Now, to make things a little bit easier on yourself, I have a second 5-gallon bucket, so when I'm transferring sand from one to another, makes it very easy. I put a tarp down in case I did make a massive spill, and actually had a little filter out there to help me find everything, and just make things easier on myself. It's not absolutely necessary, just the real basics, cost you $10, and here's how we did it. Now I might be able to dig around in here and find it, but we'll go ahead and filter it. You could hold that there. There we go, kind of a two-person job. Well, I'm not so sure that it didn't. Ah, there it is. There it is. Wow, I was worried that it just didn't make it. But no, it's actually completely intact. It didn't expand at all. We'll test its weight. I bet you it's exactly 185 grains still. We'll see how this all came out.